Hey everybody, weekend, and we've got Yael Silver with us, all the way from where are you now? Actually, I've heard different things.
I'm in Montreal right now, in
You're
Canada.
in Montreal right now. Okay, I've heard Toronto, so Montreal even
French
better.
Canada. Yeah.
Are you originally from there, or that's like where you're hanging your
Um,
hat now, doing the producing thing?
it's where I'm hanging my hat. No, I'm originally from Israel. I was born in Kiryat Tivon and lived there during my childhood, lived in Canada for about 7 years, and then moved back to Israel, to New York, to Montreal. I like go back and forth every time. So, yeah.
Cool, the
Keep it
dream.
interesting. The dream.
Uh, that's so cool. So, that's where Eleanor Kaufman's from, actually, Montreal.
Yeah.
She talks about it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we got Yisrael Edward Cohen also there now. He's there now also. Do you guys know each other?
No.
Oh, so he started. I think his first show was with Beit Hillel. He was Joseph in the Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat in like
Oh, cool.
2007, 2008, and he did a bunch of other things. Then he moved back to Montreal. Actually, I was telling people like we switched paths, like we switched sort of. I think like
Yeah.
I came back in 2015 and you went to out of the country because I think it was right after a chorus line or something like that. And Yisrael, actually, the whole reason that Dina and I got back together was because Yisrael was having his goodbye Shabbat, like his goodbye thing, and Dina was organizing it, and I went, and now he's in Montreal. So small world. There's always small theater world.
Well, I moved to New York in June 2015. So
June
I think that,
2015.
yeah, right.
Exactly. Yeah. I came back in February, March, or whatever, but then I left to the States in June. I packed up and then like the whole, yeah. And then we got engaged or whatever.
Passing, and then you now have a beautiful family. So look at that. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it was we had a great birthday today. Just got back from it. It was a lot of fun. Good cake. Dina says hi, by the way, but because Leah Rose would be sleeping now, and Dina would come say hi physically, but she's putting her to sleep a little later because it's her birthday. So, huh?
How old is she now?
It's her first birthday. Her first, 1 year.
Oh my God. Wow. Happy first birthday.
Thank you. It was a big one. Don't know how we could top it. But I guess that's the job.
Mm-hmm.
So about you. Okay, so I'm actually really, really curious, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, you're one of the people that people talk about of like that, like made the jump. Like you were in the community here, and you went over to New York, and you really got involved in some amazing projects. And you've worked with Ken Davenport as well.
Yes.
So he actually inspired me to do this.
No way.
I don't know if he knows that. I've sort of mentioned it at some point in the Theater Maker studio when I was involved with that. But he started this, and I was like, he's doing it with all his community of all these Broadway personalities. We have a great community here. Why don't we do it here as well? So StreamYard, actually, the platform that we're on now, he says that he uses this. So I was using Zoom at first, then I joined, and then I jumped into StreamYard because he says he uses it. So yeah, Ken Davenport, he's awesome, and once on this island. So like really small world, but like I'm curious because I know a lot of people here. There's actually Marty Wiesel. I don't know if you've heard of him or you met him. He's doing a lot of really cool stuff. He started something called Jet Venues, and he's doing a musical theater camp. Just advertised it today. Shlomit Kowalski is the music director. So there's a lot of really cool stuff happening in our community, and he's calling it like Broadway camp. Um,
Um,
so so there's a lot of that like drive to be like Broadway or understand what's happening over there on the other side of the ocean. So I'm so excited that you're here with us, and I just would love to hear what your journey was, how you like got there. I mean, you going there. I went to New York also, and it's like a whole different world there, and I met a lot of really cool people. And I came back. But you went there. You got into some amazing things. You've worked with with Cheetah Rivera. Like I was reading all the list of all the different people you worked. Matthew Morrison. Like, and I remember you did a really amazing conglomeration of all these artists together. There was a video that you produced as well that came out. I think, yeah. And oh my gosh. So
yeah.
I'm so honored
Oh, well.
that you're here on Jet Live. So I'll give the floor to you. Please, like, just what you like, what had you decide to make that jump? What did you discover there? How did you get into these awesome projects? Were you already doing that when you were here? Was it something that you kind of had to I'm asking a lot of questions, so then I'm just going to let you talk. Was it? I mean, there's always struggles, obviously, like coming into a new place and being in that new place. And I saw that you also did the Rock of Ages, the UK tour. Is that different? How is that different? And maybe a little insider information. I had some people that have like worked on Broadway stages, but like a producer, like we have the name producer here, but I don't. It's like, what is it? Like, what's the Ken Davenport's always talking about it. Like, what is a producer? What is it? But here in Israel, it's like people are called producer, but like there's so many different hats that everybody's wearing and whatnot. So if you could explain a little bit of what your journey is and what a producer is on the Broadway arena, I guess you could say, this area. Yeah. And what brought you to Montreal after? Like, is that and are you able to still? I guess that'll be the like. Are you able to still? Are you still part of all that while you're in Montreal? Yeah.
So I'll start with the last question. Yes, I'm still part of it, even though I'm in Montreal, even though I'm in Canada. Yes, I'm still part. I guess my journey, it was a 22-year-old with a bunch of with dreams of making it on Broadway, and I moved to New York with 2 suitcases, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. So I went and I studied at the New York Film Academy. I did a musical theater intensive. So it was like 9 months of crazy schedule, and which I'm sure you know, where you're just like constantly immersed in the art. And I was very lucky to be trained by theater professionals, people that were coming and teaching us and then going and doing their shows at night. And I saw this world that I was like, oh, it's actually within reach. It's possible. And I had a teacher who has now become one of my closest friends. His name is Bobby Cronin, he's a composer. People don't know him. They need to. He's amazing. And he taught us professional prep, which is basically business for actors. And it was all about, okay, great, you land the job. What now? How do you handle yourself as a performer, as a professional? How do you go into the audition room? How do you go into your first rehearsal? How do you write a cover letter? How do you all of these things that we didn't really talk about before. And I just found his class so fascinating, and I kept asking questions. And in one of the classes, he just turned to me and he was like, "You're not going to be an actress." And I just was like, "What? What do you mean I'm not going to be an actress?" I was so insulted. And he was like, "You just don't think like an actress. You think like a producer." And I was like, what does that even mean? Because again, what does a producer do, right? What is that? So I took what he said to heart, and I started researching and reading books about the industry and just trying to get as much information as possible. And I was like, oh, there's what we see as like on Broadway, there's everybody else behind the scenes that makes the decisions. And I love doing that. I love organizing things. I love being in control of my own path, I guess. I graduated in May of 2016. I started auditioning, and then in June of 2016, there was a mass shooting at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando. And that was a turning point for me. I decided that I needed to do something, and I didn't know what it was. And I went to a Tony viewing party with a friend of mine at the LGBTQ Center in New York. And we were both watching it and crying and getting incredibly overwhelmed by the beauty that we saw on stage. And then Lin-Manuel's "Love is Love is Love" speech. And I turned to him and I was like, okay, we're going to meet tomorrow. I have an idea. And we ended up producing together my first concert, which was called Queer Composers for Orlando. So it was all LGBTQ plus composers. And it was just a night of celebration. We just wanted to put some beauty into the world after this horrific act. And that really sort of just changed the course of my life. I fell in love with the process of creating. And I kept auditioning and, waking up at 4:00 in the morning and waiting in line and doing that line from Last 5 Years. It's true. Like 300 other girls. Like, yes, it's so true. Well, she says 200 girls. Yes. But yeah, it's like, brunette, ingenue, 5'4". There's like, throw a rock, you hit one of us. So I just, I was like, okay, this is great, but like, what am I actually doing? And then the elections of 2016 happened, and I won't get too political here, but my work is quite political. I work in the intersection of art and social justice. That's sort of how I've positioned my career. And I just felt that I needed to do something. And I reached out to a friend of mine who's a casting director, and I said, hey, I need to meet you for a cup of coffee. I want to do something, and I need your advice. We met at a Starbucks of all places on the Upper East Side. And I said, I have a crazy idea. And she just looked at me.
I think I've been to that one.
Yeah, like, on 84th, I think that's where. And I said, I have a crazy idea. And she just looked at me and she's like, okay. I was like, I want to re-record We Are the World with Broadway artists. And she's like, okay. And I expected a reaction of being like, what, you're insane. And she was like, okay, well, let's do it. And I was like, wait, you're serious? Like, you'd be into doing this with me? And she's like, yeah, let's do it. And in that Starbucks, I called Quincy Jones's office randomly. I was like, I need the rights to the song. And went on a whole, it took us a year and a half to get the rights. And Quincy Jones wasn't the one that had the rights. It was Michael Jackson's estate and different estates that had it. But 2 months after that Starbucks meeting, we were in the studio with Cheetah Rivera, Ben Vereen, BB Newirth, Brian Stokes Mitchell, and 40 other artists. And I could not believe it. And that sort of was the catalyst to my career. It was just this idea, a response to what was happening in the world, and I needed to do something. And some amazing friends that believed in me and believed in what I wanted to create, and we're like, okay, great, let's do it. Yeah, so that's sort of how it all started.
Wow. So it's interesting because I feel like I heard about you already doing things before that happened.
Yeah,
Like
because
if you were like, oh, Yael Silver, she's in New York, she's doing stuff over there, and then all of a sudden the video comes out,
mhm.
but already after I already heard about you or something.
Yeah,
So
so well, because it took us a year and a half to release the video. So we
right.
recorded it in January 2017, and it came
Mm-hmm.
out in June of 2018. So there was that whole
Year where you were
year, and
involved.
in that year, that's when Once on This Island happened. That's when I won the Tony. It was like, all in that year, year and a half, that like, and then we were able to release it. So it was something that started my career, but like nobody knew about it until
Yeah.
my career had already taken off. So it was a very strange thing, because people were like, "Oh wow, they just did this," and I was like, "Oh no, I've been working on this for so long." But
Is
it
that
was
what happens all the time? Like those specific things, you everything takes time. Musicals, they take time to really. What you talked about with getting the rights, could take that long. It could take a second. Like they'll be like, okay, or they say no, and then they'll say yes. Like if you keep on, like Starcatchers is that they revisit, like Chicago they put on this year, and it like was 5 years in the making. They asked for 5 years ago. So but I guess you always need to be doing something while you're doing the other things, but they don't see that until they come up for sure. But yeah,
it's like constant, like, plates in the air. How many plates in the air can you have at once?
yeah,
But I mean, we are the only version of We Are the World that was approved by the Michael Jackson estate that didn't include Michael Jackson. So we legally got the rights to it. It just took us a year and a half of negotiations and back and forth. And they were amazing, actually. Like the fact that they, yes, it took a long time, but the fact that they gave it to us was so incredible, and they were very generous about it and very supportive of the process. So I'm incredibly grateful to them.
yeah. It sounds amazing. I mean, Dina, when this all started, she was listening to We Are the World like nonstop for I don't know a whole week, and she even said like, oh, we should do this again because of Corona. Like it's not something that it's beautiful. It's a beautiful song, and it's not a message that ever really ends. It's always something for sure to show again to the world. I've actually had that. Now I'm like trying to do like Zoom readings and stuff, and there are times where I've asked for rights and I was rejected because it's not that they don't. This is not the time for them to. But there's some really generous creators out there that would love to share their work, and I'm hopefully going to be working with them and doing more Zoom readings and whatnot. But it is a process, and
Zoom
it's
readings
great.
are hard.
Yeah,
Zoom readings are hard.
But
I mean, readings themselves are hard.
They are the technologies like you have to figure out the technology and everything. And there's actually a checklist that someone made of checking all different things. But I did it once, so now I'm like, I think I could do it again. Less actors maybe. I did just 2 actors the first time, but what I find that's so great about it is I'm not the best memorizer, so I appreciate it when like you could actually read the text. And I feel like there's a lot that you can do with a cold reading or reading the text. There's a lot that the actor can still find in the subtext and everything, and still be able to make it work. And no one sees that like the script is like next, like over here. So you can get actors that like you could say to them like, listen, it's gonna be hard technically, but you don't need to get off book. And I think that's a win-win for everybody because the story's being shared. There's a way that it can be shared, but the actors don't have to get off book. They have to know what they're doing. They have to know that they're acting, and they have to know the script and be familiar with it. But they don't have to be totally off book, because they could like look at it for a second and come back and all that. And it works. It is the technical side and the producing side of it. That's where it can be a little bit difficult. But there's like StreamYard is a great. I'm debating if StreamYard's a good thing for it or Zoom's better. But because you have the backstage in StreamYard and you can like pop people in and out, you already mute them easily, and people can watch it live. You could pre-broadcast everything. You have up to 10 people, so do a play with like 8 people. I don't know. And the people could comment in the live comments, and then they're able to talk while the show's going on, and no one's being bothered because it's all on the side, and you're doing the show. So, but then the Zoom, there's the webinar version, which is much easier because it's more expensive, but you have the panelist section. So you put all the actors in the panelist section, and then you can actually differentiate between actors. So these are things I've heard about or seen or understand. So it can work.
Can work. Look at you being creative and busy in quarantine. Well, you guys are out of it a little bit, right?
Yes and no. Unfortunately, in the past week, some schools have found new cases. So they closed down some of those schools. And Netanyahu came on and said, I'm really upset that no one's keeping to guidelines, which we don't even know what they are anymore because there's been loosening of everything. I mean, we had the birthday party outside, and we had food, and it was really nice to see everybody. And some people haven't seen people in like a really long time, but he said this week is a test to see if there's more cases, and then they might pull things back and whatnot. It's not very clear, but everybody wants to. I mean, I know what the situation over by you guys with all the artists and Broadway and when it's going to start and how that's going to start. It's a huge question. So actually here, one company is rehearsing outside in the park, Chitty Chitty Bing Bing, and they want to go up already in June because June 14th, they're saying everything's going to be open, but only at a certain capacity. And then Michael Burl just announced Aida. Again. Okay. He does that. He does that. But he does a pretty good job of it because it's different people, it's a different thing. And people. Great. He produces. He gets people in the seats.
That's true. It's just, yeah. I mean, it's going to take a while, I think, for people to be comfortable going back into a theater, and that's really, it's like, how do we do it safely? How do we protect our actors? How do we protect our crew? How do we protect the audience? And it's a question that people who are a lot smarter than me can answer. I don't know, right?
I don't know if the people that are smarter than you even have all the answers because there's a lot of uncertainty with even how like everything basically everything. It needs the whole entire industry sort of needs to kind of change at the point when we want to open up. I mean, Ken Davenport has this whole entire theory of it's going to open with a big boom or whatever, and there are going to be theater goers who really want to go back.
Absolutely.
But I think what they're doing here, which is interesting, is they're doing like 75% capacity. But if you're a family member, you could sit with your family member. So then you could sort of have like 3 people sitting next to each other, like do family tickets. They're all sitting together in a clump, and then you have separate rows And that's already better than like I've heard 30% capacity or whatnot.
Yeah, I think we need to just listen to the scientists and do what they tell
Yeah.
us to do, and then we'll be okay.
And do Zoom readings.
That's right.
Uh,
And eventually we will be able to get back. It's just
yeah.
we have to do it safely and be smart about it.
Yeah, but I totally believe when that it will be like a huge boom when like they say it's safe now. Like if when there's a vaccine, people are gonna just like go in droves because there's nothing like live theater.
There's nothing.
Jagged Little Pill is like I don't even know how to pronounce her. Alanis Morissette. Is that am I pronouncing it correctly? Cool. I grew up on her. I grew up on her Z100, listening to Tyrannic all the time. I'm not such a fan of jukebox musicals, but it definitely would come behind that because like she's just iconic. And like I remember reading about in Boston, like the standing ovation, people didn't want to like sit down. There's something electric about live theater, right?
I mean, theater to me is magic, right? There's nothing like it because you can freeze a show, right, and have it be the exact same, but it's going to change every single night. There's going to be a different audience. There's going to be different reactions. It's something so special that unless you're in that room on that night, you won't experience the exact same thing the next day. I actually went to New York 2 weeks before the shutdown, before everything closed down, and I saw Jagged Little Pill, and because I wasn't able to go to opening night, going back and forth between Montreal and New York is, I mean, yes, it's only an hour flight, but it's a little difficult sometimes to get things going. But it was the most remarkable thing for me just to go and see it, because I saw it when we were workshopping it and hadn't seen it in a while, and it was just, I mean, I love that show. I'm involved in it. I'm totally biased, but I also think that it's such an important story, and it's such an important story right now. And it's not the story of Alanis's life. It's a completely original book written by Diablo Cody, who's just phenomenal. And it's crazy how those songs that were written, in the 90s are so relevant today. And I'm just, I love it. I can't wait to see it again when we're allowed to be in the theaters again.
Yeah. I was listening to the soundtrack though, like last week, and it was really cool how they kind of split up the song "Ironic." Like, no, it's not. Yeah. Yes, and then that. So there's I feel like there's a lot of really amazing stuff in this show. I mean, I hear it from like everything that I'm hearing about it. It's live theater.
Live theater, exactly. Yeah, it's so because when I was a kid, I used to be really involved in theater, and then moved away from it to study classical music and study opera, and then being in Jerusalem was actually when that passion reignited, when the opportunity to be part of a musical again came up. And so
how did that happen?
I auditioned for Hairspray, actually, and then couldn't take part because I was coming to Montreal to visit my family. But then Chorus Line happened the year after, and I auditioned, and thankfully was cast in the show. And that experience was so incredible, and getting to work with everyone, and the English theater community in Israel is quite remarkable. Like, the talent is just, it's pretty insane. It's pretty insane there. I mean, we have 2 fellow actors that are currently in New York. Ron Orlovsky and Maya Cohen are there. You know, Miri and David are in London, or Miri's back in Israel. But anyway,
Miri's in Miri just moved to Tel Aviv, actually. Yeah,
but it's like the talent is insane, and it was just so fun to be part of that community, and that really was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna go audition for New York. Like that was sort of the inspiration, and it was actually Miri that told me about the New York Film Academy, because she had done
she had done something there. Yeah.
So it's thanks to that remarkable woman, and then just sort of like, I wish I could come back to hang out with the crew one day when it's allowed to travel again. I'll go back.
You would be welcome with open arms. I'm sure so many people like speak so highly of you, and like who you like, chorus line, like just we should do a chorus line, just like they've been talking about doing a reunion. Like we did a Next to Normal reunion actually this past week. When I tried StreamYard, it doesn't work for reunions because you can't put everybody. It only goes up to 6 people in the stream, so it didn't work so well. So we switched to Zoom, and people were talking about doing a Spring Awakening, and people were talking about doing this. But there's so many people that talk about a chorus line as being like that show that really, like, there's still people, like, they're friends with each other and they're still talking to each other. I mean, I have a show like that also. We did Chana Senesh, and we still have a WhatsApp group that we still send happy birthdays, and someone actually just got engaged, and we were all like Mazal Tov. But like, I hear a lot about that show, and it was a lot of work too. I mean, I'm sure like
oh my goodness, it was a lot of work. God bless Yaeli for the patience. She had the patience of a saint with all of us, and like, you know, so much dancing and teaching us all that choreography and making sure that it was perfect. But it was so fun. It was like, I would love to do it again.
I missed that one. I missed because I was there, but I did do a dance sequence from a chorus line. I was in the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, like a 5-week musical theater intensive, and that was the audition. Oh my gosh. I was using my left foot and this and whatever. I couldn't get it right, but I could imagine because I tried it.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing is that afterwards, when I did move to New York and I was at the New York Film Academy, one of our instructors was Deidre Goodwin, who was in a chorus line that was in the revival. So she taught us the choreography, and I was just like, I thought I knew it. No, I didn't know. It was just, everything was so specific, and that woman is amazing. But yes, chorus line was an amazing time. I was definitely the whitest Diana Morales. You know, sorry, but that's what we could do, you know.
At least they got it right in Hairspray here. Starcatcher did.
Yes. Hairspray was definitely the right casting. Yeah. It's hard. I get it. In Israel, it's, you know, it's a small community, and we do our best. But yeah. And the talent is there, as you said. Like, really, there's amazing talent here. But you're limited sometimes in what kind of talent. Yeah, the diversity, exactly. But that's why Theater of the Rough does it best with Shakespeare. They love changing around the. Anyways, they give the man the woman's role, and the woman the man's role, and they do a job of it. So they're such great producers here. Like the people that produce theater here also, like what they do and what they're able to create, and
and the people that they gather around them. And they're also really inspiring. I mean, and then we get inspired from people like you that, you know, are doing everything that you're doing over in Montreal, New York, wherever. It's just inspiring to know that. And there are people that keep on trying. Like Marty Shamroth went to New York to study at AMDA. Don't get confused with ADA.
Yeah. Which what? Because mine is nice. There's AMDA. There's Lambda. There's all these.
Yeah. There's so many, but like people and David Jamal, as you said, and that continues. I think that continues to happen, and I think that it's great to have that kind of like people to look to be like, you know, they made it over there, and they're doing amazing work there. But I think that also our community, as you said, like there's such an amazing community here that we have the ability to give the people inspiration to be able to go and create and figure things out and get there, you know. So
it's such
here's Shlomit. Finally, Shlomit, we've been she's saying hi.
Nice.
You can actually, the cool thing about StreamYard also is that I could do this.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
See what you wrote.
Yeah, she might actually be joining as a interviewer.
Oh, cool.
At some point, yeah. We're having Brian Friedland on Tuesday, and then Doobie Harvey is going to be joining on Wednesday. And I might actually be on your side. Like Shlomit might be interviewing me at some point. We'll see. It goes as it goes. Ken keeps saying, you know, he's going to keep doing it until Corona's over. And I'm like, Jet Live, this is something that would be really great to just do in general.
Right.
To connect the community and connect people like yourself with the community, getting to know you more. It's such a pleasure. And then like continuing with it. And who knows, Corona is still around.
No, it's so fun to be back. Like that was home for me, right? That's where that reignited my passion and my belief that I could do it. And I moved to New York with so much support from the community. And so it's so exciting to be back, even virtually.
Even virtually, but I mean, that's what we got now. But hopefully we'll see you here when also I'm hearing like already there's a couple of people that like have not been in Israel, and they're like, oh, we're going to come after all this is over. So, you know, people are going to also, maybe the flights are going to also boom.
Who knows? Yeah. I mean, I still have family in Israel, so I try to come when I can, but would love to make it to Jerusalem as well. My family's in the north, so just, you know, but actually living in Canada and in the States, like a 2-hour drive is not long. Whereas in Israel, you think, oh my God, I'm never going to do that.
Well, where do they live?
My family's in Tivon.
Tivon.
Yeah. So it's near Haifa. It's about 20 minutes.
Near Haifa.
Yeah.
That's about 2 hours these days.
2 hours, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I totally, it's like you come here and then you're all of a sudden, no, too far.
Right. 20 minutes. No, I can't do it. Yeah. After the commute to work where you can literally be on the subway for an hour and 45 minutes, that's fun.
Yeah, I have the same. I have the same feeling. Like but they're creating some good infrastructure here. Hopefully they're working on it even more now that like people aren't really on the roads as much. They've got some really nice infrastructure that hopefully will make things a little bit faster. Oh, we'll see. Shlomit, usually you're writing all these questions. She came late, so she's a little bit shy, I guess. So I think like, yeah, we're pretty much at time. There's so much I feel like we didn't get into, like the actual producing thing.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about for sure.
Yeah. But another time,
Yeah,
hopefully. It was really, 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 really great pleasure to meet you, even virtually. And I'm just so excited for your future. I mean, like.
Well, what do you want to know?
I mean, you could always, Shlomit, you could always probably connect to Yael, Facebook or whatnot. That's always there. But yeah, it's been amazing to speak with you, and it's again, like, it's amazing how the community, it's a really small world and everything. And that's a really great question. And this will be the last question, because I do need to go. And I try to do 40 minutes.
Great.
For everybody or whatnot.
Great. Do I still perform? Unfortunately, no, but I'm trying to go back to that. Quarantine has made me pick up my guitar again and sing, so that's been really fun. And I have started teaching, which has been amazing. So I've been teaching in quarantine, and yeah, so I teach and produce. And yes, please send them my love, Shlomi.
It's cool. You could see the
yeah, it's so cool.
Such amazing technology.
What
are you teaching?
What am I teaching? I coach young actors in like the business of acting and like how to prepare. So yeah, I've been doing some private lessons and some group classes. So it's been really fun.
That's awesome. Basically, like, you're a teacher, and now you were inspired by him, and now you're like basically giving it to the next people. That's how theater keeps going and living.
I wouldn't be where I am today without people that believed in me and people that pulled up chairs at the table for me. So it's my job to pay it forward and to keep doing that. And I really believe that, young artists need and deserve to be supported. So I will do my part. So, yeah.
Amen. Awesome.
Amen.
Thank you, Yael. Thank you so much. So Tuesday we will be with Brian Friedland, and Wednesday Doobie Harvey and Shlomit. That's an amazing question, and we'll add. And Yael, you could probably go in the comments also later and like answer the questions and whatnot. So yeah.
Let's connect.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Great. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you on Tuesday.